I don't think President-elect Trump wants to meddle with Medicare or Social Security. He made a promise in the campaign that that was something that he didn't want to do.
Can Donald Trump cut taxes, expand the naval fleet, and not touch entitlements? Joining us from Capitol Hill is President of Americans for Tax Reform, Grover Norquist. Sure. Grover, good to see you this morning. Let's pick up on the conversation we've been having here about debt blowing a hole through the bottom of it, exploding debt and the consequences of all of that. Donald Trump has said he's not going to touch entitlements. From where you're sitting, the business you're in, what's your biggest concern about Donald Trump's presidency?
Well, for starters, I'm extremely pleased that we're going to be both repealing all the taxes on Obamacare. Obamacare's 20 taxes with a stethoscope attached to it. It's $1 trillion in taxes and more than $1 trillion in spending that was going to continue to blow out debt. So first you phase out, get rid of, repeal Obamacare, then you don't have this continuing increase of the debt decades and decades out. Step one. That is a reform of an entitlement. It's repealing the entitlement that Obama put in with two misstatements. One, that you'd still be able to keep your doctor and your insurance, which wasn't true. And the other one is he wouldn't pay for it with taxes on middle-income people. And the tax pay for Obamacare 7 dramatically hit middle-income people, hitting your flexible savings accounts and so on.
So should he hit Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid as well, Donald Trump?
Well, I think, look at the Pentagon for starters. Congressman Calvert has legislation that would phase down the number of civilian employees at the Pentagon. There are about 700,000 now.
But Grover, you know that the Pentagon's not the main driver of debt. As Richard pointed out, it's 3% of our GDP. The main driver of debt is Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and interest on the debt.
Good. Social Security requires a 60 vote to change it, and I don't see any Democrat willingness since 1983 to make any reforms to protect Social Security. I think you will see efforts. I think it'd be a good idea to block grant Medicaid, food stamps, housing and jobs programs, the 4 major means-tested welfare programs in the United States. There are 183 means-tested welfare programs run by the federal government. Some are small. Those are the 4 big ones. If you grant those out to the states, we would do what Bill Clinton did with aid to families with dependent children. Now, TANF, and states could compete to figure out how to do this more effectively. So I think the most likely and most effective way to do this is to block grant the welfare programs out. And then we do need to look down the line at how do you keep Medicare goes bankrupt if you don't fix it. So you want to fix it so it's there for younger people.
A basic question I would ask is, how does any of this affect the life chances of working people in this country, in the sense that how are these tax policies going to fundamentally transform the circumstances of folk who are catching hell out there in Middle America, in the South, in cities all across the country?
For starters, you don't get a $700 tax because you don't buy Obama's definition of what kind of health care you should buy. That penalty for not buying Obama's health care. Or $2,000 for a family of 4. Those are going away. Those penalties for people who don't do what the president wants, gone. But the most important thing on the tax policy is taking the business tax from 35%, which is the highest corporate income tax in the world. We're not competitive with Europe, where it averages about 23%. And we're going to take that down. The House Republicans want 20%. Trump has said 15%. Either or both of those would be a tremendous help to the United States. There's $2 trillion overseas, and American companies earned it overseas. They can't bring it back because our tax policy makes it too expensive to bring it back. That's going to be fixed, and you'll see $2 trillion flow into the United States in investment of American money that's already there. It's not government money. It's not going to bridges to nowhere. That plus the lower rates, I think, are very key to strong economic growth.
All right. Grover Norquist, thank you very much.